Hi, this is Mark from WebcastingConferences.com. Today I'm going to show you how we set up and operate our conference recording system. The system was designed with reliability in mind. It has 2 recorders and all components are protected by an uninterruptible power supply. The system is capable of operating unattended for hours at a time. A 64 gig memory chip will record at least 48 hours of content. So let's open the bags and have a look. This records slides and audio in sync. Let's start with the monitor here. It's in its own padded case. There's a power supply in there, but you're not going to need it because it's included with the uninterruptible power supply. There are VGA cables here, which you're not going to need either. Remote control. This is the power adapter for the uninterruptible power supply. Plug it in the side, and then you plug that into AC. That's the only power connector you're going to need. There's an audio mixer. There are 2 of the recorders. There's a VGA distribution amp. You're not going to need it because we're going digital. 2 audio connectors. 1/4 inch out, number 1, into the show recorder. It's a mic input on the side here. It's the other VGA recorder connector for the. There's a DA distribution amp for HDMI in and 2 out. I'll put that here. We've got lots of these nice short HDMI cables that you'll need. Here's the other audio cable. These audio cables have a pot on the side which is taped over. This takes the line level to a mic level. You don't have to adjust those. They're pre-adjusted to be at the same level. So leave the tape on there. And the switch. This little HDMI switch allows us to monitor either the show or the backup recorder on this monitor. So let's plug that in. HDMI in. HDMI out here on the switch. Now we'll take the output of recorder 1. There's an input, an output, and then a analog input that goes with the VGA cables we're not using. So we take the out of the show machine into the switch, number 1 in. We take the output of the backup recorder, number 2, plug it in there. Okay, let's get our power going. We have this uninterruptible power supply which has a 5 volt and a 12 volt output and a USB 5 volt output. So we'll turn this on. We see it's charging now. When that red light is flashing, it'll turn green when it's fully charged. But you can use it without it being fully charged. Plug in the USB, plug in the 5 volt, it is labeled, and plug in the 12 volt. The other end of this cluster, you have a recorder number 1 and a recorder number 2. Power supply. You also have a monitor power supply and a mixer power supply, 12 volts. One last thing, we need to give these recorders an input. So coming out of the distribution amp into number 2, input number 1 into the DA. The DA also gets its power from the uninterruptible power supply. There is an XLR with a hum fighter to 1/4 inch. It's your input for your audio from the house system. HDMI signal from the presentation computer goes into the distribution amplifier. So the signal comes in, gets split, then it goes out and gets switched into the monitor. Okay, I've got everything laid out. There's the 2 recorders, the monitor, the switch allows me to see the show and the backup machine. Let's talk about the audio. In order to get a good audio level, it's best to monitor the input. I'll set the mixer to 0 right now, and I'm going to bring this monitor's audio gain up to 50%. Now if I bring up channel 1,
it was the first look at what a vehicle to another
at about 12 o'clock, nice clear audio level. I can switch over to the backup. And bring that one up as well. The recorders are capable of capturing high resolution video at 720, 1080p, or 1024. You can select that using these buttons at the bottom here for the record resolution. If I set this one, it shows the output will be 1280 by 720. If I set it to 1080p, we see the output will be 1920 by 1080. When we set it to 1080 at recording, it has a blue light. If we set it to 720 recording, it displays a green light. We generally record at the lower resolution as that's adequate. We can set the aspect ratio using these buttons at the top to 4:3 or 16:9. The audio mute button on the left side will mute the HDMI input. The audio mute button on the right side mutes the analog input. You can play back recorded video by pressing the playback button. Here you can select the video you wish to view, hit play, and there's rewind, and there's play at various speeds. Okay, let's have a look at the setup menus on the recorder. We access them by hitting the home button. The first menu is the system time. You can set that if you like. There's also a ability to change the schedule of the recording, which we don't use. And then there's a bit rate, recording bit rate, and it's set for high, but we would normally want to set it for low. Low seems to be quite adequate for slide capture. We go to the next menu over and we can set the color temperature of the input. And if you hit it, you can then see the background input source, and you can change it depending on how it should look, whether you're having a problem. I generally use the standard here. And of course you can set the aspect ratio here. We would normally leave this at auto. You have the sound input. The firmware has been updated to the latest version. You hit the home button again and it returns you to the standard menu. When you insert a flash drive, wait about 5 seconds for it to boot up before pressing record. Notice the indicator flashing on and off, indicating that it is recording. When you stop recording, it flashes green and blue, until the file is saved. Never remove the flash drive until the light is solid. If you press the record button and the display shows can't detect USB device, simply unplug the USB device, plug it back in, wait about 5 seconds, and try again. It's very important that these drives are formatted in the NT file system. This format restricts your files to a 2 GB limit, about an hour of content. It is very easy to stitch the files together without any loss at all. Other file formats appear to work, but will not save the file reliably. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please write to me, Mark, at WebcastingConferences.com.